I've always believed in the precision of science, the comfort that numbers bring, the consistency of data. There's no chaos in the universe, only patterns we haven't deciphered yet. I used to tell myself that a lot, back on Earth, where everything made sense. But now, floating in this tin can of a station, high above the swirling madness of Neptune, I'm not so sure anymore. Out here, it's different. There's a stillness, a crushing silence that only the vastness of space can provide. Neptune's endless storms rage below us, but they might as well be on another planet. Inside the Iliad, it's stark, uninviting, with every surface gleaming white or metallic grey. Routine has become our religion. Wake, work, eat, sleep, repeat. It's how we keep from going mad. Or at least it was. Today is day 462 of the Iliad's mission. We're a small crew. Captain Lang, the station commander, an ex-military man who never leaves the control deck. Megan Watts, a neuroscientist studying the psychological effects of deep space. Henry Diaz, our lead engineer and technical genius, though you wouldn't know it from his cynical, always joking demeanor. And Vanessa Harlow, our communications expert, a woman so precise in everything she does that it borders on obsession. And then there's me, Dr. William Hunt, lead astrophysicist, assigned to study Neptune's gravitational anomalies. Or what we thought were anomalies. My shift starts the same as it always does, going over the data from the gravitational wave detectors. Neptune's a strange planet. Its storms are the most violent in the solar system, but there's something about the way its gravity fluctuates that's intrigued scientists for decades. I've been watching those waves for over a year, and up until 2 weeks ago, everything was stable, predictable. But now, something's changed. I lean back in my chair, staring at the holographic display that hovers in front of me. The data is spiking again, as though something enormous beneath Neptune's surface is stirring, pushing and pulling at the planet's magnetic field. "Hunt, you seeing this?" Henry's voice comes through my earpiece. He's down in engineering, running diagnostics. His voice, usually dripping with sarcasm, sounds tense today. "Yeah," I reply, rubbing my eyes. "I've been seeing it for the past few days. Can't explain it." "You think it's a glitch in the equipment?" I shake my head, even though he can't see me. I've triple-checked everything. The detectors are functioning perfectly. Whatever's causing these fluctuations, it's real. There's a long pause, and I hear him exhale slowly. "Real, huh? Well, that's comforting." Vanessa appears at my workstation, her arms crossed. "You're still picking up those anomalies?" "Yeah, and they're getting worse. Gravitational fluctuations like this shouldn't be possible. Not at these depths." "Neptune's not exactly a normal planet," she says, her voice clipped. "Could just be the storms messing with the readings." I shake my head again, this time with more conviction. "Storms don't affect gravitational waves, Vanessa. Something's down there." She frowns but doesn't argue. I can tell she's concerned. Hell, we all are. But we're professionals. We're trained to handle stress, to keep our heads even when things start to get strange. Later that day, the anomaly spikes again. This time, it's worse. The entire station vibrates with a low frequency. I catch it, though, because I've been attuned to every little sound, every shift in the Iliad system since the anomalies started. At first, I think it's my imagination. We're 4.5 billion kilometers from Earth, isolated in the cold, endless void. And isolation does things to a person. It creeps into your thoughts, makes you question reality. Megan would call it space fatigue, the slow, grinding wear that gets to all of us eventually. But this vibration is real as the data scrolling in front of me. "Diaz, are you feeling that?" I ask through the comms. "Yeah," he replies. "Not just you. Vanessa's been picking up strange interference in the communications too." "Define strange," I say, my voice tightening. "She's saying there's whispers in the static, like voices, but I checked the system, there's nothing on the channels." "Voices?" I let out a breath and rub my temples. We've all read the reports of previous deep space missions where crew members started hearing things after long periods of isolation. It's not unusual. And yet, something about it unnerves me. I glance at the gravitational wave display. The readings are even more erratic now, as though something massive beneath Neptune's surface is shifting. It's an impossible thought, but the data doesn't lie. Whatever this is, it's getting stronger. I file my report to Captain Lang and head to the observation deck for a break. There's a tension growing among the crew. Diaz tries to laugh it off, as he always does, but even he's not hiding the worry in his eyes. Vanessa is becoming more withdrawn, staring at her equipment as though she expects it to talk back. And Megan? Well, she's been asking more questions than I can answer lately. Standing in the observation deck, I look out at Neptune. The planet dominates the view, an endless swirl of blue and white, its clouds churning in perpetual chaos. There's something hypnotic about watching it, a slow, mesmerizing dance of violent storms that never end. But today there's something else. For a moment, just a flash, I see a city. Not a reflection or a distortion in the glass, but a sprawling metropolis beneath the clouds, glowing softly with a surreal light. Towers rising at odd angles, with arching bridges connecting them in complex, spiraling patterns that seem to reconfigure as I watch. The longer I stare, the more I see. Figures moving within the city, too distant to make out clearly. I blink, and it's gone. Neptune returns to its swirling, stormy self. I take a step back, my pulse quickening. A hallucination. It had to be. But I can't shake the image. It was too clear, too vivid. I've read about space madness, how long-term isolation can make the mind see things that aren't there, but I've never experienced anything like this before. I leave the observation deck, feeling a cold sweat forming on my back. As I head back to my quarters, I pass Megan, who looks up at me from her station with a knowing look. She's been watching me, I realize. "You all right, Hunt?" she asks, her voice calm, but there's an edge to it, a sharpness that I haven't heard before. "Yeah, just tired." She murmurs, and her gaze follows me as I walk away. I can feel her curiosity pressing in on me like the weight of Neptune itself. She knows something is wrong, just like I do. That night, I can't sleep. My mind keeps replaying the image of the city beneath Neptune's clouds, and no matter how hard I try, I can't push it away. There was something in that city, something watching me. I don't know how to explain it, but I felt it. The next morning, things take a darker turn. Diaz comes to me during breakfast, his face drawn. "You ever wonder what's really down there?" he asks, his voice low. "In Neptune, I mean." "Not sure what you mean," I reply, though the truth is I've been wondering the same thing. "I've been looking at the data," Diaz continues. "The gravitational waves, they're not random. It's almost like something's moving down there. Something huge." I frown, staring at him. Diaz is not a man prone to flights of fancy. If he's concerned, then something is really wrong. "You think there's something under the clouds?" "I don't know what I think," he says, rubbing his eyes. "But I swear I heard something last night. Not in my head, but outside. Like a voice calling me." I don't know what to say to that. The rational part of me wants to dismiss it as space fatigue, the same way I've been trying to dismiss my own visions. But deep down, I know he's right. We're all hearing it. The whispers, the pull. An alert chimes across the station. It's a proximity alarm. Something has disrupted our orbit, pulling us slightly closer to Neptune. The vibrations I felt earlier return, stronger this time, rattling the walls of the station. I head to the control deck, where Captain Lang is already barking orders, his face grim. He turns to me when I enter. "The anomalies are getting worse," he says through gritted teeth. "We're being pulled in." Pulled in. The words hang in the air like a death sentence. I glance out at Neptune again, its swirling clouds almost mocking us. Something's down there, and it's waking up. I feel the weight of those words long after I've left the control room, as if the pull isn't just physical anymore, but something deeper. Something that's getting into my head. It starts that night, after the alarms have quieted down, after we've all returned to our stations. The dream. The voice. At first it was faint, just a whisper, but last night it was clear. The voice wasn't some figment of my imagination, it was calling me by name. There was no mistaking it this time. It didn't feel like a dream. I was floating, weightless, as if detached from my body, drifting slowly toward Neptune's surface. Below me the planet churned, an endless sea of clouds, but instead of terror, I felt a pull, like a magnet drawing me in deeper and deeper. I wanted to go. I needed to go. The voice, soft and melodic, whispered promises I didn't understand. It told me that it was home, that it was peace. When I woke, drenched in sweat, the sensation lingered in my chest. The voice felt real, more than real, like it had touched something inside me. I stare at my reflection in the mirror, trying to convince myself it was just a dream, but my eyes, red-rimmed and hollow, tell a different story. This isn't just isolation. Something is happening to us. The station shakes again. The vibration has been getting worse. We've all been feeling it, though no one wants to talk about it. I head to the control room. The captain's already there, standing rigidly in front of the display screens, his fingers twitching at his sides. Captain Lang isn't the calm, collected leader he once was. These days, he looks more like a man on the verge of breaking. His usual crisp military demeanor has given way to something frantic, like he's constantly trying to hold himself together. "We're still being pulled in," he says as I enter, not looking up. "Orbit's decaying faster than we can compensate." I glance at the main display, watching as the numbers tick downward. We're slowly descending into Neptune's gravity well, dragged by an unseen force. It shouldn't be happening. Our systems are designed to handle the gravitational fluctuations. But now, nothing's working as it should. "How much time do we have?" "Could be days, could be hours," Lang says, his voice strained. "If we can't stabilize soon, we're going to be too close to pull back." It's got to be the gravitational anomalies. Whatever's down there, it's affecting the station more directly than we thought. Lang finally looks at me. It's not just the gravity hunt. The crew. They're losing it. Vanessa's barely holding it together. Diaz is talking about Neptune like it's alive. And you? I don't know what's going on in that head of yours, but you look just as strung out as the rest of them. I want to argue, but I can't. The truth is, I am losing it. We all are. "I'll run the numbers again," I say, my voice quieter than I intended. "There's got to be something we missed." "Yeah," Lang mutters, turning back to the display. "You do that." The station feels different now. There's a tension in the air that's almost suffocating. Conversations are brief, clipped, as though everyone's trying to avoid acknowledging the inevitable. The vibration beneath the floor has become a constant presence, like a heartbeat, pounding in rhythm with my thoughts. I can't tell if it's real or if I'm just imagining it. Vanessa, usually the most composed among us, is unraveling. She spends hours in the communications room, fiddling with the equipment, adjusting frequencies and scanning channels for signals that aren't there. When I find her, she's staring at the monitor. "There's interference," she says without turning. It's constant, like something's trying to break through. I can hear them in the static." "Hear what?" I ask, though I already know the answer. "The voices." She finally looks up at me, and there's something desperate in her eyes. "They're getting louder, William. They're calling me." Her voice cracks, and I realize just how far gone she is. This isn't the same Vanessa I knew. Her meticulous, sharp demeanor is slipping, replaced by fear. No, not fear, anticipation. "You need to rest," I say, trying to sound authoritative, but my words lack substance. "You've been on shift too long." "I can't rest," she whispers. "You don't understand. They're trying to talk to us. They're telling me things. Things I shouldn't know, I think. She trails off, her gaze darting toward the window out to Neptune's swirling clouds. I think I belong down there. Her words send a chill through me. It's the same feeling I had in my dream. The pull, the need to go down. But I can't let it get to me. You don't belong down there, I say firmly, stepping closer. Whatever's calling you, it's not real. It's in your head. Vanessa shakes her head violently. No, it is real. It's more real than this. You'll see. You'll hear it too. I leave Vanessa in the communications room, unsure of what else to do. I should report her to Lang, tell him that we need to take more drastic measures to keep the crew from spiraling. But I can't bring myself to do it. Mostly because I know I'm no different. I'm hearing the same things, feeling the same pull. Back in my quarters, I pace, trying to shake the overwhelming sense of dread. The station's artificial gravity feels heavier today, though that's impossible. My mind keeps going back to the hallucination I saw in the observation deck. The city beneath the clouds, the architecture. It wasn't a vision. I felt it. There was something down there, something ancient, watching me. I try to focus on the data, anything to distract myself, but it's all the same. The gravitational waves are getting stronger, as though something is rising beneath the clouds. It's like Neptune is alive, its core pulling us closer, beckoning. Hours pass. At some point, Diaz finds me in the research lab. He's holding a datapad, scrolling through the latest readings. Have you seen this? He asks. The waves, they're regular, like a heartbeat. I frown and take the pad from him. He's right. The fluctuations in the gravitational field aren't random. They're rhythmic, pulsing every few seconds with perfect consistency. Like something massive is moving beneath the surface, or breathing. It's not natural, Diaz continues. This isn't a storm. This is something alive. I don't know what it is, I mutter, though deep down I know he's right. But we need to figure out how to stop it. If we don't stabilize the station, we're going to be pulled into the atmosphere. Diaz doesn't respond. Instead, he stares out the window, his eyes glazed over. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. I blink, startled. What? He turns to me, his expression eerily calm. Maybe we're supposed to go down there. Maybe that's why we're here. I can feel it, William. The closer we get, the more it makes sense. We don't belong up here. We belong with them. I take a step back, my heart racing. Diaz, what the hell are you talking about? He shrugs, like it's the most obvious thing in the world. Neptune, it's calling us home. Diaz is staring at me, but it's not him. Not really. His eyes are distant, unfocused, as though he's listening to something I can't hear. I try to reason with him, but his mind is already gone. He's not the same man I've worked with for over a year. Whatever is pulling us toward Neptune, it's taken hold of him. Suddenly, the station shakes violently. The display screen shows our orbit decaying even faster now. We're being dragged down, and it's only a matter of time before we hit the planet's upper atmosphere. I rush to the control deck, leaving Diaz behind. When I arrive, Captain Lang is frantically trying to adjust the station's trajectory, but nothing's working. The gravitational pull is too strong. We're losing altitude, Lang growls, slamming his fist against the console. We can't correct for it. Diaz, he's lost it, I say, breathless. He's talking about going down to the planet. He thinks we belong there. Lang doesn't respond. He's too focused on the failing systems. The station groans as the pull increases, metal creaking under the strain. Diaz enters the control room, his face eerily calm. He walks straight to the navigation console, ignoring Lang's shouts, and starts inputting commands. What the hell are you doing? Lang yells, grabbing him by the shoulder, but Diaz shrugs him off. I'm taking us home, Diaz says quietly. Before anyone can stop him, he hits the override for the emergency descent protocols, locking the station on a direct course for Neptune's surface. Lang jumps at him, but Diaz is faster. He pulls out a utility knife from his belt and drives it into Lang's side. The captain staggers back, blood spilling onto the floor. I rush forward, grabbing Diaz by the shoulder, yanking him back from the controls, but he's stronger than I expect. He shoves me off, his eyes blazing with a wildness I can't comprehend. The knife gleams in his hand, catching the light of the control deck. My heart races as he swings it toward me, the blade flashing in a deadly arc. I barely manage to twist out of the way, the metal grazing my arm. We collide again, this time face to face. His breath is hot and ragged, and his eyes are unfocused, as if he's not even recognizing me anymore. I grab his wrist, trying to wrench the knife free, but he fights back. The vibration beneath the station's floor seems to grow stronger, as if it's pushing us toward violence. The knife inches closer to my chest, our faces inches apart, his expression twisted with something between rage and devotion to whatever is calling him. I grit my teeth and slam my forehead into his, the impact sharp and brutal. He staggers back, dazed, but it only buys me a second. He charges again, wildly slashing, and this time I catch his arm mid-swing, twisting it with all the force I can muster. I hear a sharp snap, a crack of bone, and Diaz lets out a scream, the knife slipping from his fingers. I shove him hard, and he stumbles backward, losing his balance. He crashes into the edge of the console, head striking the metal with a dull thud. Diaz slumps to the floor, unmoving, blood seeping from a wound at the base of his skull. I stand there, panting, the station's alarm still wailing around me. His lifeless body lies at my feet, blood slowly pooling across the floor. I can barely process what I've just done. My ears ring, and the room feels like it's spinning. Lang groans from where he's slumped against the wall, his hand pressed tightly against his wound, blood spilling between his fingers. His breathing is shallow, labored, but he's still alive. But the station isn't. We're still descending, and now we're descending faster. There's nothing I can do to stop it. Captain Lang is fading fast. His face is pale, beads of sweat slicking his skin, and his breathing comes in gasps. The knife wound Diaz inflicted is deep, and I know he doesn't have long, unless we can get the bleeding under control. But right now, the station is my priority. I pull myself together, my hands still shaking from the struggle with Diaz. I've never killed anyone before. That final thud of his skull hitting the console echoes in my mind, but I push it aside. There's no time for regret. Diaz is gone. Vanessa is on the verge of a breakdown, and now Lang, our captain, is slipping away. The control room is a mess. The alarms are still blaring, red warning lights flashing across every surface. I glance at the navigation screen. We've already descended too far. Neptune's gravitational pull has us in its grip, dragging us into its atmosphere. We're sinking faster by the minute. Lang, I say, kneeling beside him. We need to stop the descent. The station... Lang looks up at me, his eyes glassy. He's barely conscious, but his lips move. It's too late, Hunt, he mutters, blood bubbling at the corner of his mouth. We're going home. The word hangs in the air, and for a moment, I'm not sure I heard him correctly. Home? I repeat, feeling a cold dread crawl up my spine. Lang's hand twitches, weakly reaching out toward the observation window where Neptune looms large, the storm clouds swirling just below us. His eyes glaze over as he stares, as if entranced by the sight. They're calling us, he whispers, his voice almost lost in the wail of the alarms. We were never meant to leave. Never meant to fight it. This isn't the Captain Lang I've known for over a year. He's always been the unflappable one, the commander who held everything together. But now he's speaking like Diaz, like Vanessa, like all of them. He's slipping into the same madness that's claimed the others. I grab him by the collar, shaking him. Lang, snap out of it. We need to fix this or we're all dead. His eyes shift to mine for a second, but there's no recognition. We were always meant to go back, he murmurs. Neptune, they're waiting. His head slumps forward and his body goes limp. I freeze, waiting for some sign of life, a breath, a twitch. But there's nothing. I press 2 fingers to his neck. His pulse is weak, but he's not gone. Not yet. But the captain I knew is. The man lying in front of me has surrendered to whatever is calling from Neptune's depths. I don't have time to dwell on Lang's condition. The station is plummeting and I'm running out of options. I push myself up, moving to the control console, trying to override Diaz's emergency protocols. The system fights me at every step and my hands keep shaking as I tap furiously at the interface. But it's no use. Whatever Diaz did, it's locked us into a descent trajectory. The station groans as we drop lower, the vibrations rattling through every surface. I hear a door slide open behind me and I spin around, my pulse spiking. Megan stands in the doorway, her expression calm, serene, as though she's completely untouched by the chaos around her. Her dark eyes are unnervingly clear, and she's smiling, a small, eerie smile that makes my stomach turn. "Megan," I say, my voice more desperate than I want it to sound. "Help me, we're in freefall. Diaz sabotaged the controls and She steps forward, gliding across the room like a shadow. "There's no need to fight it, William," she says softly, her tone unnervingly gentle. "We're exactly where we're supposed to be." I freeze, my heart hammering in my chest. "What the hell are you talking about? We're crashing, Megan. We need to stop this." She shakes her head, her smile widening slightly. "No, we're not crashing. We're going home. You've felt it too, haven't you? The pull, the voice." I step back, shocked. Not her too, not Megan. She's the station's neuroscientist, the one who's supposed to keep us sane. If even she's lost it, then I'm completely alone. "Don't do this," I say, my voice shaking. "You're not thinking clearly. This isn't real. It's some kind of hallucination. We've been up here too long. We're all cracking under the pressure." But Megan just shakes her head, her expression almost pitying. "No, William, this is real. It's more real than anything we've ever known. The voices, the cities, they're all part of something bigger. They've been waiting for us." I back away slowly, feeling the cold metal of the console pressing against my back. "You're not making any sense." She takes another step toward me and I can see the intensity in her eyes now. It's not madness, not like the way Diaz had looked, or even Lang. This is different. There's a calmness to her, an eerie, unshakable certainty. It's like she's already crossed over, fully embraced whatever is pulling us toward Neptune. "You'll understand soon enough," she says softly. "Once we're down there, everything will become clear. They'll show you. They'll make you one of them." Her words send a wave of nausea through me. I realize now that Megan isn't just succumbing to the hallucinations. She's become part of it. She's not just hearing the voices. She's speaking for them. "I'm not going anywhere," I say through gritted teeth. "We're not going to be part of whatever the hell is down there." Megan tilts her head, studying me like I'm some kind of curiosity. "You can't resist forever, William. The more you fight, the harder it will be. You'll only make it worse." She reaches out toward me, and I feel a deep, overwhelming urge to just give in, to let her touch my hand and pull me into whatever peace she claims to have found. The voice in the back of my mind, the one that's been whispering to me in my sleep, becomes more pronounced and demanding. "Come home, William, come home." I shake my head violently, breaking the spell. "No." Megan's face hardens. The kindness in her expression vanishes, replaced by something cold and sharp. "You can't stop it." She turns and walks back through the door, leaving me standing alone in the control room. I can hear her soft footsteps fading down the corridor, her presence lingering like a shadow. The station creaks ominously, and I feel it, Neptune's pull stronger than ever, like invisible hands dragging us into the depths. The air is heavy with pressure, and even though we haven't yet breached the atmosphere, I can feel the descent accelerating. I rush back to the console, trying every trick I know to reroute the controls to stop the inevitable, but it's useless. The override is too deeply embedded. I manage to reroute auxiliary power, slowing the descent marginally, but it's a temporary reprieve. At this rate, we'll hit the upper atmosphere in less than an hour. Sweat drips down my forehead as I punch in command after command, trying anything to buy us more time, but the station's systems are buckling. The vibration beneath the floor is now constant, like a massive engine driving us downward, no matter what I do. I glance at Lang. He's unconscious, slumped against the wall, his shallow breaths nearly drowned out by the chaos. He's out of the fight, and I can't drag him to the medical bay. Not with everything falling apart. But even as the station rattles and groans, I can't shake the feeling that the real danger isn't the failing systems. It's Neptune. The voice in my head is becoming louder and more insistent. It's no longer just in my dreams. I hear it now, whispering through the walls, through the vibrations of the station. You can't resist forever. Come to us. Come home. I can't give in. I won't give in. I'm the last one left who hasn't fallen under Neptune's spell. I have to find a way to stop this. But the closer we get, the harder it becomes to focus, to think clearly. The voice, it's like a needle burrowing deeper into my mind, threading itself into every thought, every decision. I try to pull up the station's main engines, but the screen flashes red. Offline. Everything's shutting down, one system after another, like the station itself is surrendering. There's no way to reverse the descent. In desperation, I punch in a series of manual commands, rerouting whatever power we have left to the station's thrusters. It won't stop the fall, but maybe it'll slow us down. Maybe it'll give me time to think of something else, some other way out of this nightmare. The thrusters engage, but the station shakes violently, and I hear a crack as something deep within the structure buckles under the pressure. We're falling too fast. The emergency protocols won't hold for long. The observation window shakes, and I see Neptune's clouds roiling just below us, swirling in shades of deep blue and violet. They're closer now. In the midst of the chaos, Lang stirs. His eyes flutter open, glassy and unfocused, and for a moment, I think he might be coming back to himself. But when he speaks, his voice is distant, like it's not really him. "They're waiting," he whispers, his gaze locked on the swirling clouds outside. I can hear them. I freeze, my hands still on the console. "Lang, don't listen to it. We can still stop this." He doesn't respond. Instead, he pushes himself up, wobbling as he stands, blood still dripping from his side. I move toward him, but before I can reach him, he takes a step toward the airlock. "Lang, what the hell are you doing?" He turns to face me and I see it. The same calm certainty that I saw in Megan's eyes. The same peace that Diaz had just before he tried to kill us all. The same surrender. "I'm going to meet them," Lang says softly, his voice laced with reverence, like a man speaking to a god. There's an eerie calm in his eyes, a kind of certainty that twists my gut with dread. Before I can react, he lurches forward, slamming his bloodied hand on the airlock control panel. A warning klaxon blares immediately as the inner door begins to slide open, the chamber on the other side revealing itself in a sterile light. My breath catches, and without thinking, I bolt toward him, my hands outstretched to grab him, to pull him back. But he moves too quickly, far faster than I expected given his injuries. Lang steps into the airlock, blood trailing from his side, staining the floor as he goes. His movements are careful, almost graceful, despite the wound. The inner door shuts with a hydraulic thud before I can reach him, sealing him inside the airlock chamber. I slam my fists against the thick glass, screaming at him through the barrier, my voice muffled by the airtight divide. My words are desperate, wild, but he doesn't even look at me. His gaze is fixed on Neptune, his face bathed in the soft, swirling glow of the planet's clouds outside the observation window. He seems entranced. For a second, there's only silence. I can see him standing there, his figure framed by the circular viewport in the outer door, his back to me, motionless. Then the warning lights flash, and the airlock begins to depressurize. I hear the dull roar of the air being sucked out, feel the vibrations through the floor. My stomach churns as I realize what's happening. He's not hesitating, not reconsidering. He's waiting for the void to take him. I pound my fists harder against the glass. My voice cracks, the weight of helplessness sinking in. He's so close, yet there's nothing I can do. Lang finally turns to face me, slowly, like he's hearing me from some great distance. His eyes are glassy, vacant, like the man I knew is already gone. His lips curl into a faint, serene smile. The airlock's depressurization finishes with a final mechanical whine, and the console flashes, signaling readiness. My heart hammers in my chest as I realize I only have seconds. I slap my hand on the emergency override panel, trying to disable the system, but the airlock controls have been overridden, locked down. I can't open the inner door, can't get him out. He presses a single button on the panel inside, and the outer door cracks open. The rush of decompression is instantaneous. Everything inside the airlock is sucked toward the void in a violent pull. He stumbles as the force hits him, his body lurching forward. For a second, I think he might grab the edge of the frame, might hold on, might fight, but he doesn't. His body lifts, weightless now, and he drifts out into the cold, silent expanse of space. I can only watch, helpless, as Captain David Lang is pulled into the abyss, his figure becoming smaller and smaller, silhouetted against Neptune's swirling clouds. His arms are outstretched, almost as if he's embracing it, welcoming the descent. My throat tightens as his body tumbles, flipping weightlessly in the void, drawn inevitably toward Neptune's surface. There's no struggle, no fight. He disappears into the churning blue and violet storm, swallowed whole by the planet's endless atmosphere, lost to the deep. The airlock door closes with a slow mechanical groan, sealing the station again. The hiss of pressurization returns the atmosphere to normal, but it does nothing to ease the pressure building in my chest. I collapse against the bulkhead, gasping for air, my hands trembling uncontrollably. The station creaks and groans, and I know we're too far gone now. Neptune's gravity has us in its grip, pulling us into the endless storm below. Lang is gone. Diaz is dead. And somewhere, deep within the station's dark corridors, Vanessa and Megan wander. I haven't seen them since our last conversations, but I don't need to. I know they've succumbed, fully absorbed by the call of Neptune. The voices have taken them. There's no point looking for them now. Whatever's left of them isn't human anymore. They're not dead. They're worse. Lost to something old and vast. I imagine them wandering aimlessly, mumbling about home like it's the only truth that matters. And maybe to them, it is. But for me, there's only one truth left. We're not going to survive this. Not in any way that counts. I find myself back at the observation deck, staring out at the planet. It fills the entire view now. A violent swirl of deep blue, purple, and black. The clouds churn endlessly, moving in a rhythm that almost feels like breathing. The station shakes again, dropping lower. The metal creaks beneath the pressure, and I know we'll be swallowed soon. I close my eyes, trying to block out the sound, but I can still hear it. The voice. It's louder now, clearer than it's ever been. It's not whispering anymore. It's speaking directly to me, soothing, promising peace. It tells me that all I need to do is let go. Stop fighting, surrender. It will all be over soon. I open my eyes and look down at my hands. They're shaking, slick with sweat. Part of me wants to listen. After everything I've seen, after watching Lang eject himself into the void, maybe it's the only option left. There's no escape. We were always meant to come here, weren't we? I almost step forward, but then something inside me snaps. No, I can't. Not like this. I can't end up like Lang or Diaz or the others. I can't let myself fall. The voice is pulling at me, tugging at the edges of my mind, trying to unravel the last threads of my resistance. The city beneath the clouds flashes in my vision again, beautiful and terrifying. A place where time and reason lose meaning. I can see the shadowy figures moving, waiting for me. But I won't go to them. I stagger back from the window, forcing my legs to move, my muscles heavy like they've turned to stone. The station is shaking violently now, alarms blaring all around me, but I ignore them. I know it's hopeless. We're descending into Neptune. There's no reversing this course. I head toward the control room for the last time. If I can't save the station, maybe I can do the next best thing. I can make sure that whatever is beneath Neptune stays buried. I can't stop our fall, but I can make sure that no one ever comes looking for us. The communications array is still functional. I sit down at the terminal and type out the final message. A warning, a plea. Do not come near Neptune. Stay away. There's something here. Something we were never meant to find. I send the transmission. It'll reach Earth eventually, long after we're gone. Maybe someone will listen. Maybe they won't. The voice is screaming in my head now, angry, furious that I've rejected it. The station lurches violently and I'm thrown from the chair, hitting the floor hard. I taste blood in my mouth, but I don't bother to move. The pressure is unbearable. The hull groans under the increasing weight of Neptune's atmosphere as we descend deeper into the planet's gas layers. Every second, the air grows denser, heavier. The metal around me begins to creak and bend, shuddering violently as the crushing force mounts. The walls tremble and I can hear the cracking of steel as the station's structure begins to buckle. It won't hold much longer. Soon we'll be swallowed whole by Neptune, consumed not by fire, but by the immense pressure of the planet's depths. I close my eyes, letting the sound wash over me. The voice is still there, still trying to break me, but I won't give it the satisfaction. Not in my last moments. The rumbling grows louder, a thunderous roar that drowns out everything else. I take one last breath, tasting the blood. Then the station gives way and everything collapses into darkness.